Welcome to the Bucher and Friends podcast, co-starring 10-year NBA center Ryan Hollins.
Couple pump fakes, leans in, shot blocked by Ryan Hollins. Hollins sent that into the third row.
6 rebounds and 8 assists.
Hollins climbs the stairs.
Down the floor. Ryan Hollins! He is the high jumper!
That's what I want to see. Give me some gunpowder and throw the hammer down.
And now, here is your host,
Let's send it over to Rick Bucher.
Rick Bucher.
Welcome to yet another episode of Bucher and Hollins, subsidiary of Bucher and Friends, part of the United WeCast network. I'm Rick Bucher. You can see my stuff, read my stuff on Bleacher Report. You can find me on Twitter at Rick Bucher, RICBUCHER. And you can find him, Ryan Hollins, NBA vet, ESPN star, at the Ryan Hollins, or on Instagram, just the simple at Ryan Hollins. And you can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Bucher Friends. What's up, Ryan?
What's up, brother? What's going on, man? I feel like you're just picking up more and more momentum, man. The NBA season's here, man. You're going NBA, NFL, Rick. You're all over the place, brother.
I am. And I was doing double duty tonight. That's the beauty of Thursday night football, along with a lighter NBA schedule, is that I could watch the Seahawks upsetting the Green Bay Packers. I considered it an upset. It was a great battle, though, between two great quarterbacks. But we're not here for football. You are here to get everything that we've got to say about the NBA, what's going on, what happened Thursday night, as well as our picks for Friday night. And I hope you are ready on that front. By the way, last week you were 5 for 8, and I went 2 for 7, if I'm not mistaken.
I try to tell you, Rick. I try to tell you, man. You want to listen to my convincing, man.
You did, but that's the beauty of us doing this for sportsbetcollective.com. And as all of you know, when you're betting on games, it always makes all of it a lot more exciting. Go to sportsbetcollective.com. You get not only my insight, but there's professional gamblers, celebrities, writers like myself in their respective genres, be it the NFL, college football, college basketball, whatnot. You can get all of their insight, and it's just $1 a pick. You can't beat that. sportsbetcollective.com. They are a supporter of this particular podcast. And so on Fridays, we give it to you here. And right now, Ryan Hollins has been the man to listen to, at least as of last week. We're going to keep full track of exactly how we do. And so this is going to be my comeback. The setback is just the prelude to a fantastic comeback. That's how I am looking at it. Before we get to that, we saw the Golden State Warriors with Draymond Green back in the fold, and they got absolutely run by the Houston Rockets tonight. Also saw the Clippers knock off the Spurs, and of course, probably the least unexpected event of the night, the Denver Nuggets took care of the Atlanta Hawks. I want to start here, and what you think the impact on Trae Young in having the comparisons to Steph Curry. And people are already saying, oh no, he's not Steph Curry. Of course he's not Steph Curry. We never thought he was going to be Steph Curry. But how damaging is it? Do you think this is the Jordan effect now, where we had all these guys that came in, Harold Miner being the most memorable one. I think Michael Finley was another one. Every two guard of some athleticism and scoring ability was instantly compared to Michael Jordan. And obviously everybody didn't compare. And I think it undermined a lot of guys' careers. How do you feel about Trae Young in the comparison of him to Steph?
I don't think it hurts him at all, because Steph Curry's still in his prime, or playing at a really, really high level, even though he's currently injured right now, Rick. And I think the fact that you can look at Steph and not expect Trae to be anything near really helps him out. That's the real factor, Rick. I don't think it hurts him. In the fact that Steph had such an unique climb to glory, where he was the kid at Davidson, really went off in the tournament, took 2-3 years in the league to kind of develop. And then the dude transcends basketball. We're still wrapping our head around what Steph Curry actually is. So That's what's saving Trae Young, because we don't even know what Steph is or how Steph did it to actually compare him. And when you talk about Michael and Kobe and those guys, you saw the dunks, you saw the athleticism, and then the fundamentals came into place. And obviously the winning came into place after that. But that's what really helps out Steph, is that we don't know what the heck he is.
All right, so moving on from Trae Young and the Hawks, we saw the Warriors with Draymond Green back in the fold after his one-game suspension. You and I talked about it yesterday. We thought it was a mistake by the team and the way they handled it. Obviously, TNT made a big deal about a play where Draymond on a break double clutched it, ended up being a turnover. KD they talked about it. KD slapped him on the chest, and it was everything's all good. Everything's not all good when you get run the way they did by the Rockets. What do you make of the blowout win by Houston?
They're worried about everything other than basketball. And the Warriors, even though Steph Curry lists, we know there's no championship without Steph, and we know that. But they are not 20 points worse than Houston. And Houston's scrapping for their dear lives right now. You know, when you waive a guy like Carmelo Anthony, you send a huge message, Rick, to the rest of the guys on the team, and that it's winning time. This is do or die. You're supposed to take care of home. There's dysfunction in Golden State. In Golden State's, I don't want to say they don't have anything to prove right now, but they're on top of the West. So it's not the same sense of urgency. And this Draymond deal, brother, it definitely is affecting that locker room. And there's a lot of mixed emotions. It's impossible to not have them because, as you stated the other day, Rick, the organization chose a guy who's most likely leaving and just suspended a guy unprecedentedly who is the heart and soul literally of your team.
The other issue, the bigger issue for me, and I thought it would be an issue tonight, and it's going to be going forward until you get Steph back, is the fact of the matter, the two big playmakers on this team are Draymond and Steph. They're the best passers on this team without question. And Steph is out, and Draymond's not 100%. And so this team is naturally going to gravitate toward one-on-one basketball, which is not their best basketball. And if you're going to have a battle on that front, Houston's going to win it because that's what they do. So I also, just when you said, it's not a big deal, there's no game for the Warriors, quite honestly, during the entire regular season until maybe you get to March or April and you see somebody that you think you're going to see in a couple weeks in the playoffs, where the regular season game is going to have as much meaning as it does to the other side. I just had this conversation with Kyle Lowry because we were talking about playing with LeBron and all of that. And he said, it's really not about LeBron, and it's not about joining forces with LeBron. The team that we have to beat are the Golden State Warriors. We don't have to beat LeBron. We don't have to prove anything against LeBron. We have to beat the Golden State Warriors. That's where the mindset is. And I dare say that's the mindset for everybody in the league. Even wounded, people don't care. It's a huge feather in their cap if they end up knocking off the Warriors. And the Warriors just don't have that. There's no win for them that is, oh man, we accomplished something tonight. It's only we held serve.
No, you're right, man. There's nothing really just pressing with them. I will say they have a better sense of urgency from last year, because last year was a joke, Rick. It was an absolute joke.
You think they have more urgency this year? I'm not so certain of that. They've come out strong, but I think that's as much because the rules and the freedom of movement and some of the teams that they were playing with some of the changes that they made, like they had the advantage of continuity and rules that were made for them to play their game. If it's not a physical game, the Warriors are going to clean up on everybody.
Yeah, but Rick, when I look at them, Steph Curry came out firing all cylinders. And, what's interesting enough is I don't even know if they signed someone to their mid-level exception.
They used that on DeMarcus Cousins.
Okay, they used it on Cousins, and that's hurting them because they literally have nothing outside of the, 4 or 5 All-Stars? What are they? 5 All-Stars, right? They're really thin right now. Now you got 2 All-Stars sitting. We'll count Boogie and Steph, and their bench is unsigned free agent, second round. Like it's nasty, bro. Like the drop off is unheard of. Listen, against the Clippers when KD fouled out, it was nasty. And then they're not trusting in Quinn Cook, who they signed and brought back. he's kind of, thrown to the side right now, but they're really not good outside of their guys. And Draymond, dude, you called it right, Rick. He shouldn't even be playing right now. His foot is bad.
And I thought this might be a problem, investing in DeMarcus Cousins, and he can't give you anything as of right now. But you brought something up, I believe, on social media about the next landing place for Carmelo Anthony. Were you the one who suggested that maybe the Golden State Warriors were a landing place for him because of their bench?
For one, I said Philadelphia. I think there's just kind of some gritty stuff going on. They could use some veterans. That wouldn't be a bad place. And they just lost two. Obviously, you get Jimmy Butler, but you just lost two rotational pieces. But I said the Warriors bench is in desperate need. If I'm Melo, I'm looking at that because you're going to be in a position where they're going to be like, well, Melo, we have to play you. We desperately need you. So I can't see anything but opportunity and a chance at a championship there. And Melo's at the spot where, like, he can't go to anybody outside of a contender right now. At this point in his career, like, nothing else makes sense.
I agree. It's hard for me to think of a place right now, Warriors aside, and the point that you're making. But even that, I'm thinking, look, you already have some guys at odds. You have DeMarcus Cousins waiting in the wings. I mean, when DeMarcus shows up, then what happens to Melo?
Still thin.
Can you really bring Melo in as a patch? And then once DeMarcus is ready to go, now it's thanks Melo, or you suggested in yesterday's podcast that he's a 10th man right now. I think that's a little farther down the roster than Melo's. I mean, he's barely willing to accept coming off the bench. Now you're going to make him a guy who doesn't necessarily even play every night. As much as from a on paper standpoint, I could see where you have a point. They already got chemistry issues. You're going to throw Melo and his trying to come to terms with who he is now into that?
I pick up Melo with no expectations, and Houston clearly had some level of expectations for Melo and relied upon him, and he let them down. They had in their minds the whole time, and I want to say, because these deals are done a long time ago, we'll let Trevor Ariza walk because we're going to get Carmelo. We're going to get him off waivers, essentially from the Thunder, and they're going to move him. They're working on a buyout. We're getting Melo. Trevor, you can go. We're very comfortable in that. Golden State wouldn't be relying on him. They would essentially say, hey, Melo, we kind of need you, but we need you, but we don't need you. You can be Omri Caspi. You know what I'm saying? You can be, I don't even want to give him Nick Young. You can be Caspi. And for Melo right now, you're starving to take that, bro.
Okay, but here's the thing. He just said, I don't want to be Omri Caspi in Houston. Why is he going to say I'm good with being Omri Caspi?
He still had expectations in Houston. Like I said, they talked him up, let Ariza go, sign Gerald Green back for cheap in thoughts that they would have Carmelo Anthony and he would, bring them at least something on the offensive end. And it just didn't work out. So the expectations go, a la JaVale McGee signing in Golden State. And you got to be a happy camper, bro. You don't have that leeway. And I'm not saying that he tried to exercise that, but if you play, you play. If you don't play, you don't play. And I really think it was a mutual decision for him to go because he didn't want to sacrifice that. And he might look in the mirror and say, I just want to be on a team. I want to play basketball. I'll really do whatever. And it wasn't conveyed that he didn't have that attitude in Houston, but just Houston could not afford for that. Golden State can kind of afford for Melo not to be too much and him not to play.
I feel as if some of this it sounds like Des Bryant, where Des Bryant had to come to terms and had to sit out for a while and then realized that he was in a different place and accepted the deal with the Saints, and then unfortunately had the Achilles tear just getting ready for his first game. It feels to me, and this is what's a little scary when it comes to Melo, and we've talked about his conditioning, Melo needs to sit back a little bit and just kind of not jump at the very next opportunity. Even if the Warriors said, hey, we'll bring you in, we'll let somebody else go, we're not going to play you right away. We'll bring you in, we're going to kind of let you get your feet wet, we'll get you in shape, we'll get you comfortable with our program, and then we'll play you. The idea of seeing Melo like run back out on the floor in another uniform in the next week or two doesn't feel like a formula for success.
Right. You're right. I agree. I don't think he needs it in the next week, but he needs to go somewhere that they're saying, hey, we're going to need you. We really don't have anything as to what you do. Unless, I don't know if the Warriors are just waiting for kind of like that free agent time in the season where all the teams decide to tank and then they waive all of their guys. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it almost seems like you got a lot of teams that are building themselves. Like, Philly did it with Ilyasova and Bellinelli last year. LeBron and the Lakers are waiting for J.R. Corver and those guys to get out. There's a couple of teams, even Boston, Kyrie threw out, we could use another veteran in the locker room. So I think you got to get it while the getting is good. And these teams, the cupboard is so bare when it comes to benches. We're talking Golden States. We're talking even Houston's to an extent, the Lakers and these teams that are going for it right now. So, I mean, you got to take what you can get. Melo still has a value.
All right. Let's go to the sportsbetcollective.com segment of the program. This is where we give you picks. And the way we'll do it is with each game, you can go money line or you can go, which means you're just picking a winner, or you go points, or you can just pick the over-under. And for you, Ryan, if you want to do more than one on a particular game, have at it. And the first game we're going to hit are the Brooklyn Nets visiting the Washington Wizards. The Wizards are giving the Nets 7 points. The over-under line is 217. Where are you going with this one?
I'm going to take the Wizards in this. They are looking a little better. They are looking better. Clarence LeVert just got hurt, obviously, but the Nets they're not bad at all. And I'm going to go with the over. These are two teams that play small. They play fast. Freedom of movement. Fouling is still in play in the NBA, and I mean fouling as in fouls being called. So that's where I'm going. So mark that down for me.
I am doing the exact same thing, and it's not because you picked it.
Fine, great minds. That's fine. See, that's where you got in trouble last week. You got to be too dangerous last week, Rick.
I did. I was a little cocky. I was coming off of a 3-for-4 day. Heat Pacers. Pacers are giving the Heat 5. The game is in Indiana. Pacers are giving them 5, and the over/under is 213. And you know what? I just decided we're not going to do money line. We're not going to do win or lose. You got to go with the points or
yeah. That's what I've been doing, Rick. Maybe you've been messing that up. That's what I've been doing.
I know. I knew about the money line idea, but I'm dismissing that, making up the rules as we go along.
That's fine. I'm going to take Miami in this. I don't think the Pacers are explosive enough just to kind of like take care of business by over 5. And Miami still defends, even though they're a bit of a wild card. I'm not in love with ever betting on the Miami Heat with them or against them right now this year. And I'm going to go under. 2 defensive-minded teams. Even though they run, they can get hot. But I think these teams hang their hats on their defense and not their three-point shooting. So I'm going under the 212.
I agree with you on, actually, I'm going to go Pacers. I do think it's going to be a close game. I think the Pacers can cover the 5, and I am going to go under as well because I agree with you on all those points that these are teams that just don't play with a whole lot of pace. They both play more of a controlling game. All right, this is the big game of the night on Friday night. Toronto Raptors versus the Boston Celtics. It is in Boston. The Celtics are giving the Raps 1.5 points. According to Bovada, and the over-under is 215. Celtics are just coming off of a major beatdown of the Chicago Bulls, and the Toronto Raptors just lost at home.
Coach Dwayne Casey wins at the buzzer.
Oh, that's right. They lost to the Pistons. Yes, the last-second shot, obviously an emotional win for Detroit, and maybe carrying a little extra weight because of the emotion behind it. But we got Toronto traveling to Boston. Who do you like?
I like Toronto. They've taken some tough losses. Rick, I think they get it together, and I'm going to go with the over. 215 is not wild. That's not wild. Obviously, the scoring is going to slow down a little bit because guys they're getting beat up. They're getting injured. The legs aren't there the same, and legs play a huge part in three-point shooting. But I think Toronto, man, I just think that they're still a very good team, and they've taken some bad beats, and they just got to close games out.
They're 1st and 6th in defensive efficiency, which inclines me to take the under. And so I'm going to. But this is one of those where I could see myself paying a price. There's like 2 minutes left, and they've already scored a collective like 210 points, and I'm just hoping that they go try in the last 2 minutes.
Well, the referees could easily call fouls that don't allow you to allow these dudes to defend the way they want, and that's a problem with a defensive-minded team.
Yep. You know what? You just convinced me. I'm going to go over with
fine.
you.
Hey, Rick, don't ever feel bad about rolling with your boy now. Come on, man.
No, I'm not feeling bad about it. I don't want you to think because of your success last week that I'm tagging along.
I had no idea you were this competitive. I mean, gosh.
Really? You
gosh.
Didn't? Well, welcome to my world. My wife is equally competitive. My friend said that when we got married, that their wedding gift should have been a scoreboard.
Gosh, that's hilarious.
All right. Jazz 76ers. 76ers are laying 3 points, and the over-under is 217. These are two teams that have been disappointing of late. The Jazz haven't looked good. 76ers just lost with the addition of Jimmy Butler to Orlando. Which way?
I'm going to go with the Sixers. I think Chandler's back finally. They have a lot there. And there's something to be said about, Jimmy getting on the floor and not even knowing the darn plays. You know what I'm saying? And Orlando obviously plays spirited basketball, and I've been in those situations before. So I'm going to go Sixers here. I think the Jazz are still really, really figuring out. Maybe they have some injuries there. Maybe they're smelling themselves from last year. I'm not sure what's going on. Rubio could be injured because he was a big part of their success. Him kind of running the table, and then you're relying on Donovan a little more. So I'm going Sixers, Rick.
I'm going Sixers as well. The big reason is because I think Joel Embiid negates Rudy Gobert. Embiid can space the floor. If he steps out to the three-point line, it takes Gobert away from the rim, and he's not going to step so far out that he's going to challenge Embiid's shot. And so I think that his ability to take Gobert off the dribble or shoot it from range creates a real problem for the Utah Jazz. Simmons has the ability now to get to the rim because Gobert is not going to be hanging around there. The over-under is 217. How do you think they're going to go scoring-wise?
They're going under, bro. Philly still struggles to score. They're gritty. They're more defensive-minded. Obviously, Utah still playing two bigs. They're going to move the ball around and milk the heck out of the shot clock. So I'm going under.
New York Knicks are visiting the New Orleans Pelicans. And the Pelicans are giving the Knicks 10 points, and the over-under is 228. That is the highest over-under of the night.
I'm going with the Pelicans. They're desperately in need of a win. I'm actually, even though this thing is stupid high, I'm going to go with the over because the Pelicans play at an incredibly fast pace. And I see the Knicks, even if this thing ends up being a blowout, both teams still just keep racing the ball up and down the floor.
I'm going over, but I'm going to take the Knicks and the 10 points. I'm just not convinced that the Pelicans have still demonstrated to me that they're up and down. I would expect that the Pelicans are going to win. I'm not feeling them blowing the Knicks out. I'm just not seeing that. So you have the Pelicans, and I am taking the Knicks. All right, Portland and Minnesota. Minnesota, they're a home underdog. They're getting 1.5 and the over-under is 223. I'll tell you right now, I'm going the Blazers. I'll give Minnesota the 1.5. It was a bad matchup for them against the Lakers. I don't think the Timberwolves are nearly the same matchup challenge. And while the Timberwolves have played better since Jimmy left town, I don't think that they're better.
I agree. I'm going Portland. I can't believe this is only a 1 point difference right now. And I'm going to go with the over. Portland can fire it up, and Minnesota doesn't give two darns about playing defense or anything inside the paint. So that's the way I'm going. I'm going with the over.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. As much as I think the other part is that the Blazers, if you don't have a big defensive backcourt, if you don't have a backcourt, especially coming off the bench, that can limit them, combination of Stauskas, Seth Curry, CJ McCollum, and Damian Lillard, that is a potpourri of 3-point shooters.
Soft Castillo in there. I like how you did that, man. Show my man some love.
We just had him we just had him as the Wednesday guest on the podcast. He was really good. I'm rooting for the guy to turn things around because, man, Sac was not a good time for him. And then he went to Philly. Then he went to Brooklyn. He's toured the bottom rungs when it comes to the NBA.
I'm just glad Nick is in the NBA. They just lost so much faith in him in Sacramento. It was just nasty. It was just wrong the way they did Nick.
Yeah, well, he came in. We talked about it with Markelle Fultz, that there's some guys that aren't built to be the number one pick. I'm not sure that coming in on that team with the guys that they already had there,
it was a bad deal.
That Nick was built to be a lottery pick on that Sac team. They had a lot of guys that were trying to eat. Speaking of which, we've got the Kings visiting the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are giving the Kings 6.5 points, and the over-under is 214. I'm taking the Grizzlies, and I'm taking the under. The Kings beat the Grizzlies in Sacramento, 3 weeks ago, 97-92. I don't expect that the scoring is going to be appreciably higher. I do believe that the Grizzlies will figure things out, and they're not going to let the Kings on the road beat them in the
Yeah, well, I'm going with Memphis, even with the 6, but I'm going to go with the over because Sacramento just kind of runs and plays fast, even if it's not good for them. And it seems like people are starting to figure that out a little bit of what they do. I'm still going Memphis, but I'm going with the over, staying with the over.
Last game, it's the Bulls and the Bucks. Chicago is getting 13.5 points, and the over-under is 224. That's the second highest, only to the Knicks and Pelicans when it comes to over-under. And I'm going Bulls, and I am going over. And I'm counting on that the Bulls are going to hold up their end of the bargain. They didn't in their last game with the Celtics. They got absolutely drugged. The Bulls have been, for the most part, I think they've had 2 games. The Celtics and the Warriors are 2 games where they weren't competitive. The rest of the games, they have been. And while I know the Bucks can light it up, I am going to take the 13.5, and I'm going to say that the Bulls are going to lose, but they're not going to lose.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going with the Bulls. I will take the over just because there's no one going to stop those guys from getting in the paint. Milwaukee plays a real fun brand of basketball, and I don't think the game will be close, which means both teams are just going to keep scoring. They're going to keep jacking threes. If you watch Milwaukee play, everybody has the green light. Like, if you got an open shot, you take it, and they just beat the heck out of the paint and space for Giannis pretty much.
Those are our picks for Friday's games. And that's it for this episode of Bucher and Hollins. Don't forget, you can follow Ryan on Twitter at the Ryan Hollins and me at Rick Bucher, RICBUCHER. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Bucher Friends. Please drop us a rating and review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Screenshot the review and tweet it to us at Bucher Friends, and you'll be entered for a chance to win some swag. And just as an additional shout out, the followers and the listeners to this podcast have been growing day by day, week by week, and we want you guys to know that we appreciate
that, Rick. I got something for a giveaway, so I gotta pull something out. We got to reward the listeners. We'll have a random drawing. I'm not quite 100% yet what it will be, but I'm so impressed with our listeners and our growth, and I'm thankful. So I'm going to think of something, man, and we're going to get it out, man. I don't know what it is yet.
What a tease you are. I got something for you guys, but I don't know what it is. I got to go check the closet and see.
Did we give away that Jerry Rice football yet? Am I eligible?
Okay. No, you're not eligible. And no, we have not given it away. We need 6 more contestants, and then we're going to have a drawing. And then we will move on to whatever swag that Ryan ends up finding. He's Ryan Hollins. I'm Rick Bucher. Again, thank you for listening. In our next podcast will be Monday. It will be me and Will Blackman. We'll go over all of the events of Sunday football in the NFL. In the meantime, enjoy your weekend, and thanks for listening.